This is CBC Here and Now.
Big push of mild air, even setting some records on the West Coast. But how long is this going to stick around?
While all those cute school Christmas concerts are not going ahead at the Arts and Culture Centres this year, that doesn't mean that COVID has canceled all the Christmas shows.
We're excited that some of the things that happen at Christmas are happening.
I'll break it all down for you. That's tonight on Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Anthony Germain.
And I'm Carolyn Stokes. We start tonight in Labrador.
A Christmas tradition in Happy Valley Goose Bay has been sidelined, and for the first time in a long time, the town will no longer have its annual Santa Claus parade, and they are not alone. But as Here and Now's Garrett Barry reports, celebrations are looking different all over town.
That was one of the biggest events of the community, and thousands of people usually show up.
That was then. This is now.
We were moving forward. We were going to do this static Santa Claus parade, and unfortunately, we didn't get a lot of entries for floats.
Once again, 2020 changes everything. No floats, no parade.
I understand, too, why people probably were hesitant to put in a float with, the gathering of people and with the COVID increase lately and, where we're going.
But if they aren't doing this, what are people doing?
I feel like there's more appreciation now more than ever for really nice family pictures. And so I don't know if that has to do with Zoom calls or COVID or whatnot.
Business is bursting.
So a lot of people want to get pictures done so they can send them to their families, across Canada and wherever else.
Not every event is canceled. The senior social is forging ahead.
In previous years, I've known just from backtracking through the files that there's been between 230 to 250 seniors involved. This is a big function for our community. Right now, I have maybe 100 signed up and they're canceling by the day.
Even if numbers are falling.
I think it's very important. This year of all years, mental health, really, when it comes to seniors as well, like they're just stuck in the house, and I'm not referring to all, but for the most part, it's isolating enough. And I think that if we can and will hold this event, it should go ahead.
Same for the kids' party. It's going ahead, but it will be different.
So my plan is for Santa to be sitting in his chair in the back, and the children 6 feet in front of him with a barrier and a bench that someone locally is making for us for our party too.
And here's something else brand new. Town Council hopes you'll find some time during this busy season to come down here, Kinsman Park.
That's going to be lit up like the Griswolds. So I'm hoping the community is going to really enjoy it.
And tomorrow night, this tree will light up. Residents are asked to follow along on Facebook, not in person. No question, it's been a tough year, but this is all about raising spirits, however you can. Garrett Barry, CBC News, Happy Valley Goose Bay.
Well, now to the West Coast, where many families won't experience the excitement of seeing their little ones on stage for school Christmas concerts this year. But some Christmas shows in Corner Brook are going ahead with restrictions, of course. Here and Now's Colleen Connors explains.
Parents and grandparents can't pile in here this year, snapping pics of their children on stage.
We will miss it because the little ones are just so special. And, even up to grade 6, they just, the little voices and to watch them grow. Because you see the same children year after year and you see them grow.
During a regular year, the Corner Brook Arts and Culture stage will be blocked with school concerts most weekdays in November and December, with other holiday shows taking up every weekend. But COVID-19 is changing the schedule. One group offering private music lessons has found a workaround.
So they're actually rehearsing a number that we're going to end up filming and airing as a part of our Arts and Culture Centre double bill on December 18th. Everyone has their own kind of square taped out on the floor so they can always be 6 feet apart. And of course, when singing comes into play, a mask goes on.
The Graham Academy will have older children on stage this month, but their audience will look totally different.
we'll put 3 seats between you and the next group of people, and every second row is blocked off. And what happens is that you will be required to wear a mask when you enter the theater. All clients and staff and patrons, when they're moving throughout the theater, have a mask on. And then when you're seated, you can take your mask off and watch the show.
You book in your bubble, there's no intermission, and shows are around an hour long. The theater aims to keep capacity at 100, including performers.
We're opening the doors a little bit earlier so that everybody has time to come in and get them seated, and with no intermission, you can come in, you can enjoy the show, and then you can just, exit the theater without being concerned that you might be, coming too close to someone.
Most entertainers are booking multiple nights to accommodate the new limited seating situation. Locke and his students at least don't mind the extra pandemic precautions. They're just happy to be back performing.
And still gives the children, the students, an opportunity to perform and be out there. And then 2 was, how can we make sure that everyone's somehow involved this Christmas? Because Christmas is such a performing highlight for many young students.
Colleen Connors, CBC News, Corner Brook.
Great kid. Well, staying on the West Coast, the town of Deer Lake is reopening sooner than it had planned. This Saturday, town operative buildings will slowly start to reopen, starting with the rec center. The town office will resume regular operations on Monday. As for businesses, which had all closed due to the COVID cluster, they can begin to reopen as well this weekend. The town is reminding people that masks are mandatory indoors. It's also thanking residents for rising to the challenge and showing compassion and empathy during a difficult time.
Well, still in Deer Lake, an apartment building there went up in flames yesterday. Several tenants lost their homes in this fire on Whites Road. Smoke billowed from the 4 apartments for hours late yesterday afternoon. The Canadian Red Cross helped one family, a couple and their teenage daughter, by providing clothes and food while they stayed with relatives. And according to this video shared on the town's fire rescue page, crews were also able to save a puppy.
Glad to hear everything is okay there. As far as the weather goes, we've got a big push of mild air in between this stationary front and this cold front. You can see that moving in. Lots of moisture associated with this one as well. Take a look at the daytime highs today. If you stood outside at all or stepped outside at all, 16 degrees in Corner Brook today, 13 in Badger. Same thing for St. John's. That just hit that number because we sat around 10 degrees most of the afternoon today. 3 in Happy Valley Goose Bay, same for Lab City. So everything that was freezing rain has now changed over to rain, and that will generally continue as we head through the overnight tonight. Just taking a look at some of the records today, 15.6, like I said, in Corner Brook. That broke a record from 2008. Stephenville, Deer Lake, Daniels Harbor, Badger, all seeing those above seasonal temperatures. Now we'll talk about just how long they're going to stick around, how much rain is on the way when I come back.
Health officials took aim at a holiday tradition today, the office Christmas party. Nothing sacred with COVID. The Chief Medical Officer of Health and others say this is not the year for large gatherings. Here now's Peter Cowan joins us live now with the latest. So Peter, what's the advice?
Anthony, it's a very different year and the advice is to celebrate in a very different way. Even though the official limit for gatherings organized by a company or another group is 100, the Chief Medical Officer of Health today said that doesn't mean she wants to see all sorts of big office parties. In fact, she's saying this is not the year for people to get together.
I caution against planning any extensive functions or gatherings at this time, except for those with your close contacts. We simply don't know where we will be in the next few weeks. So I continue to hear of workplace Christmas parties being organized, which is concerning for me. As I've said before, this is just 1 year, and things will have to be different. We need to find new and creative ways to celebrate the holidays without parties.
It's a similar message that we heard from the health minister today. John Haggie said he's concerned about New Year's Eve parties that are already being organized.
On the tickets, virtually, it says, don't bring your cell phone, no photos allowed. And what I would suggest for the people who are seriously thinking of going to those, you are actually putting yourself in harm's way. There is no conceivable reason why a legitimate establishment would want you to not take a phone or not take photographs unless they're worried about the repercussions of what you might see and record on social media.
Now, on a day where the health minister was advising people to not attend gatherings, he is actually holding one himself. I'll show you the invitation, and this is for a $250 a person reception. It's happening actually as we speak at a golf course in St. John's. The Premier's attending as well. This is to raise money for his political campaign in advance of the next election. Now, his office told me they are following all the rules. There are about 40 people that will be attending tonight's function. There's going to be physical distancing. People are going to have to sign in for contact tracing, and they insist that this is going to follow all the rules. The advice today from the Chief Medical Officer of Health was, she said, over the holiday season, your household shouldn't be interacting with more than 20 people. Carolyn?
Thanks so much, Peter. That's Here Now's Peter Cowan reporting live. Well, post-secondary institutions in the province are taking different approaches on the upcoming winter semester. Unless health directives change, the College of the North Atlantic is bringing a little more than half of its students back on campus next month. Everyone will be wearing masks, and there will be screening protocols at all entrances. The other half of students will continue learning online or through a combination of online and in-person classes. Meanwhile, Memorial University is continuing with mostly virtual coursework. It's pushing back its winter semester start date for some students, resuming classes on January 11th instead of the 6th. The university is hoping the extended break will help reduce stress for students and professors.
Job cuts are coming to some airports across Canada, including Gander International Airport. NAV Canada says it's restructuring and is warning air traffic controllers that layoffs are coming. NAV Canada says it's seen a revenue drop of more than $500 million as the industry grapples with a major decrease in travelers. Liberal MP Scott Sims says cuts could mean the loss of about 40 jobs in Gander, and most of them will be air traffic controllers. He worries cuts could continue even after traffic starts to pick back up. He's pushing for federal help for NAV Canada. Meanwhile, Gander's mayor says the move means millions in lost wages for people in Central. Well, Woodward's group of companies in Labrador will be laying off some of its employees and hiring low-wage foreign workers. A notice went out to staff last week about reflagging its tankers under the Marshall Islands. The Seafarers Union says reflagging allows the company to avoid taxes and pay less in wages.
It's shocking and insulting to our national seafarers that are ready to do those jobs. You know, avoiding taxes and costs is the only reason that will drive the shipping industry into convenience flags. That's it. There's no other reason than that.
Now, Woodward's has reflagged vessels and hired foreign workers in previous years. The company says about half the crew on the reflagged ships will be Canadian, and they should be operating under Canadian flags again in May. Woodward says COVID-19 has made this an especially difficult year for the tanker trade, and the company needs to cut costs to remain sustainable.
To be quite frank with you, we still haven't secured any work, so there's still a possibility that we may have to tie the ships up if we don't find work, and that'll be that'll be terrible, because that'll end up with significantly more layoffs than we'd hoped.
Well, this is a nice story. Writer Megan Coles has been named Artist of the Year at the 35th Annual Arts & L Awards.
Yes, the awards were hosted at a physically distanced ceremony at the LSPU Hall in St. John's yesterday. Coles' debut novel, Small Game Hunting, at the local Coward Gun Club, was also shortlisted for the Giller Prize. It won the 2019 BMO Winterset Award and was a Canada Reads contender. Also recognized at the awards was actor, writer, and director Emily Bridger. She received the CBC Emerging Artist Award.
While Danielle Irvine, Artistic Director of Perchance Theatre and Cupid's, won the Artist's Achievement Award, and Joanna Barker received the Arts and Education Award, and Bernice Morgan, congratulations, was inducted into the Hall of Honor. Well done, everybody.
Some areas of heavy rain generally moving south to north. That's going to continue as we head through the night tonight. I'll have all those details coming up.
The pandemic has changed how we're celebrating this December. Many Newfoundlanders and Labradorians won't be home for the holidays. We want to give you a chance to send a letter home. Pull out your smartphone, make sure you hold it horizontally, and record a minute or so greeting to someone you're not going to get to see in person this holidays. You can send it by email to lettershome@cbc.ca. We'll air as many as we can on radio, TV, and online. This Christmas, we can still come together even if we're apart.
That idea. I hope we get lots of submissions. That could be really, really nice. So get out your phone and send a message to people at home. Well, Ashley, before we get to the weather, we have yet another change to an annual Christmas tradition to tell you about.
Yeah, this year the Merry and Bright Festival that is usually held at Munn's Botanical Garden is turning the tables. Instead of you going to see their decorations, they want to see yours. I caught up with Kim Ship earlier today to find out the details. So for anyone that's not familiar with the Merry and Bright Festival, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So for the last 4 years, this would have been our 5th, we have over a kilometer of trails throughout the Botanical Garden, all lit up for Christmas. It's quite spectacular. And last year we had 20,000 people come through the garden.
So for obvious reasons, that can't happen this year. So what have you guys come up with?
We're so sad we can't host it this year, but we still wanted to keep the community spirit going. So this year we're working with 4 different regions across the province: Happy Valley Goose Bay, Corner Brook, Grand Falls Windsor, and the Avalon region for a holiday lighting contest.
So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So we're asking homeowners who are looking at decorating their houses spectacularly this year to enter their house in a contest, and there'll be prize winners in all of the regions, as well as a People's Choice Award.
Okay, so how is this going to work? When does the contest start, and how do people get involved?
Absolutely. So the contest, you can enter your house starting December 3rd, so tomorrow, and right up till December 10th. And then after that, we will announce all of the houses that are participating in all the different regions and come up with some driving routes, some playlists, some snacks, so you can load your family into the car and go out and enjoy the Christmas spirit in a really safe way this year.
Okay, so how could people, or how do people get involved? Is there a website they can go to?
Absolutely. So they can go to our website at mun.ca/botgarden, or if you want to follow us on social media, you can find all the information on our Facebook page. And then as we roll the contest out, you can continue to watch Facebook for all the different elements of the contest and event this year.
So there are prizes, you said?
There are prizes.
And what are the prizes?
First place is $500 for each region, and then our People's Choice, which will be decided on Facebook through voting, will be also $500, and the second place is $200.
Wow, that's very exciting. Okay, thank you very much. Good luck with the contest.
Thank you.
Too bad, but at least, you know, they're going to have a contest, and sounds like it's going to be good.
Yeah, it'll be nice. Yeah, so I'm going to switch it up too a little bit. You know how I always end my weather with a photo?
Yep.
Well, this year during Munn's Merry and Bright contest, I'll be sharing some of my favorite submissions. So to enter the contest, visit Munn's Botanical Munn's Botanical Garden on Facebook, and I'm really looking forward to seeing your festive photos. So it should be nice, yeah. And speaking of merry and bright, let's talk about the weather. Well, a little less merry and bright and a little bit more like dark and gloomy, but at least it's been warm, that's for sure. 13 degrees in St. John's today, and we saw those warm temperatures, record-breaking temperatures, in fact, for the West Coast. 16 degrees in Corner Brook, and then above 0 as well for most of Labrador. Just hanging on to the 0-degree mark, though, for Makovic. Still sitting there, and temperatures are still quite mild across the board. 13 degrees was a daytime high. Like I said, we're reaching that now, and some mild temperatures still in Corner Brook and Stephenville, both in those teen temperatures, at least 15 degrees. So we do have an area of heavy showers moving through, generally moving south to north, and that will continue as we head through the overnight tonight. And Environment Canada has issued a rainfall warning for the Canagra and Burin peninsulas. We could see upwards of 75 millimeters of rain locally, and then special weather statements for the rest. So Burgeo through to the southern portion of the Avalon, and that's because we are going to see quite a bit of significant rain. Like I said, the most will be for the Burin and Canagra peninsulas, where we could see in excess of 50 to 70 75, but otherwise you're looking, this is just through to tomorrow morning, so that's going to fall from now until then, somewhere between 20 to as much as 50 millimeters as possible, even more so for eastern areas of rather southern areas of the Avalon as we head into tomorrow afternoon. And then still have that rainfall warning in place for Happy Valley, Goose Bay, and then towards the coast as well. You'll pick up an additional probably 20 to 30 millimeters of rain by the time that's all said and done. So here's a look at the future tracker just to show you how much, or not how much, but when it's going to fall. Pretty much through the night tonight, and you'll see that continue up there, and it'll slide further east, and that's when we'll see that heavy rain into the early morning hours for eastern areas. But overall temperatures are going to stay mild tonight. 10 degrees in St. John's. Those winds will stay brisk as well, 40 to 60 kilometers per hour. Significantly less wind as you head west, cooler temperatures as well. So going down to 8 degrees for Corner Brook, really anywhere along the west coast and the northern peninsula, you're looking at single-digit temperatures tonight. Same for Port aux Basques, 3 degrees for Happy Valley, Goose Bay, so anything that does fall should fall as rain. However, the snow that's happening up through northern Labrador, that's going to change over to rain as temperatures bump up above 0, 2 degrees tonight, and then opposite is true for Lab City. So we're seeing some showers that will change over to the potential for some flurries. Here's a look at the future tracker for tomorrow. There's that flurry activity moving further east. It is going to quiet down, which is good news. Finally going to see that the main moisture head offshore, but it does look like we're going to see those periods of rain continue for eastern areas of Newfoundland as we head through the day, which could be heavy at times as well. But then we'll see some clearing in behind that as we head into the early part of Friday. Here's where our temperatures will be sitting. Another lovely day in the east with rain. 13 degrees for St. John's again tomorrow. Those winds will stay brisk as well, 40 to 60 kilometers per hour. Still looking at double digits through central. Corner Brook 10 degrees, but otherwise generally looking at those temperatures in the high single digits with winds out of the southwest 15 to 20 kilometers per hour. For Labrador, staying mild again. We're looking at 8 degrees for Mary's Harbor, 3 in Happy Valley, Goose Bay, and then the potential for some flurries for Lab City and -2. As we head into Friday, temperatures are going to start to drop. So back down to those single digits. Things will start to get a little bit more quiet. Some showers to start the day and then sunshine into the afternoon. Few flurries possible for Happy Valley, Goose Bay as that temperature drops back down below 0. Some sunshine for Nain, and you should be hovering around -4. And then as we head into Saturday, it's looking like some more rain will push in, and then temperatures anywhere from 7 to 9 degrees, a little bit cooler again along the west coast, maybe a few flurries in the mix along the strait. Same thing for Happy Valley, Goose Bay, and temperatures generally up in across the Big Land into the -single digits with flurries again continuing for Lab City. Now, I don't really see too much of a cool down other than Sunday, dropping down to about 3 degrees, but whatever does fall should fall as showers with some sunshine in the mix. And then looking like we'll see another push of warm air into next week, starting potentially Monday. The timing on that still is in a disagreement, but it still does look like we're going to see a little bit more of a push of warm air. For central Newfoundland, overnight, even starting as some potentially freezing rain. Again, we've got lots of things to iron out, but that is when the next system will roll in with temperatures hovering below 0 before we start to see that push of warm air. And then up through the Big Land, you're looking at a similar forecast as far as cooler temperatures go. Sunshine for Saturday and Sunday, maybe a few flurries in the mix, but it does look like we'll see some more snow for Western Labrador as we head into next week. So I wanted to share this lovely shot. This is Port Rexton. Stephen shared that one with us. Thank you so much for sharing that. If you have any weather photos, send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Thanks, Ashley. Well, most people don't expect poinsettias to last longer than the Christmas tree, but what about having that festive red and green plant as your Christmas tree?
Yeah, so usually we have them, don't we?
Yeah, we'll probably get them soon.
Okay, must be COVID-19. Well, a Montreal couple brought one home from the grocery store. You know the type, small, sort of sad. That's the plants, not the Montreal couple. Well, you're going to have to see this for yourself. Here's the CBC's Sarah Levitt.
Have you ever seen a poinsettia this big? I hadn't until today.
I'm about 6'1", so with the girth, my arms, it's a pretty big plant. My wife brought this poinsettia home 3 years ago, and I figured, you know what, let's put it in a little pot and stick it outside for the summer. And the following fall, I brought it back in, brought it down here. It was only the size of maybe a basketball. So that Christmas came and went, and last spring I put it outside again and put it in this really big pot, and the thing just exploded.
Put some lights on it, we won't need a Christmas tree, and I'm just worried, like, will it get bigger? This was a little crappy half-dead plant from Maxie, and look at it.
The hope is that this beauty lasts this Christmas and many more. Sarah Levitt, CBC News, Mont Saint-Hilaire.
Massive
a large one.
Poinsettia.
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 Yeah, what is that? That's how they say it in Downton Abbey.
Yeah,
I
always thought it was poinsettia.
Poinsettia?
But yeah, I Googled it. And,
Okay.
most pronunciations are poinsettia.
Okay. Well, let us know. Maybe we're all wrong. Poinsettia? Poinsettia?
Poinsettia?
For all intents and purposes, it just felt like normal flu to me.
Being a foreigner in a country that's not your own and not really knowing what is going on.
Well, from Calgary to Hanoi, we're connecting with Newfoundlanders and Labradorians far from home. That's ahead. Welcome back. Well, it's difficult to get a precise number on exactly how many workers from this province are employed in Alberta, but we do know the COVID-19 numbers out west in Wild Rose Country are surging. Alberta has a population of about 4.3 million people, and today it is headed towards 17,000 active cases of COVID-19. The province has endured 551 deaths. Now, if we applied Alberta's current infection rate to Newfoundland and Labrador, we would have 1,962 cases. That's 1,962, as you see there. Well, let's put a Newfoundland face to those rising COVID numbers in Alberta. James Dinn is a St. John's man working in Banff, and he recently tested positive. So, James, what kind of symptoms did you experience?
My symptoms were actually fairly mild. I didn't find I had them that severely. All I had was a headache that most people report, as well as some sniffles, like my sinuses were very congested, and I had a cough, and the bodily aches. So for all intents and purposes, it just felt like a normal flu to me. It didn't feel that bad, but like I also got lucky. I'm fairly young and still fairly resilient. As a result, I have a decent immune system. I almost never get sick. So like I got lucky because of all those little factors that helped me keep it mild and get over it quickly. Like I'm basically already done with them. So definitely not the horror story that some people have had the misfortune of experiencing with it.
No, certainly. But in your case, you're still in a situation where you were told you've tested positive for COVID-19. What went through your mind when you were told you'd tested positive?
One or two 4-letter words, but mostly it was I kind of expected it when I got the call from the office. I had my fingers crossed that I wouldn't be positive, but I was reasonably certain I was, so it was kind of more or less I accepted my fate at that point. And when they called positive, it was kind of, oh, well, shoot. I guess I got to stay home now. And I did. I tried to take a very lackadaisical approach to it, where I just kind of said it is what it is, and now I'm just waiting out the rest of my quarantine.
So you mentioned the rest of your quarantine. So are you pretty much done? Just a couple of days left, or how does that work for you before you get a clean bill of health?
So 14 days from the first sign of symptoms. So I started showing symptoms from 20th to the 23rd of November. So I'm gonna wait out another, I think, 2 or 3 days, and then I'm basically free to go. Especially since my symptoms are gone. They tell you to wait out the 2-week period, or until your symptoms are gone, whichever one is longer. So because my symptoms are gone, I just need to finish the 14 days in another 2 or 3. I need to check my calendar.
Well, it goes without saying, obviously good news that you're obviously on the mend and things will be back to normal. But give me a sense of your thinking. You sort of look back home, you see how we're doing here in Newfoundland and Labrador. We're watching, because there's so many people like you from this province who are working in Alberta, watching those numbers in Alberta rise. What's your assessment of the difference?
I think, obviously I can't deny there's a huge benefit of having your population exist on an island where it's a lot easier to kind of keep people out. But businesses have been open more here. I'm finding that businesses are very keen on staying open. And even though we have a restriction on housing numbers, so you can't have a gathering in your house of more than 10-ish people, I think right now, bars and restaurants are still open where there's well over 10 people. So there seems to be different standards for different places, and I think that's kind of, I don't know, it's really affecting things here in terms of how fast it's spreading, and it definitely would be nicer to see some more, I don't know, even if they just reacted more like they did the first time around.
Now listen, just before I let you go, you're James Dinn. Any connection to a James Dinn here who happens to be an NDP member of the House of Assembly?
Yes, that would be my father. We're all very proud of him and the work that he does. But yeah, no, that's my dad, leader of NDP for MHA for St. John's Central.
I don't think he's the leader yet, but I'll let him know about the promotion.
I don't know how politics works.
Listen, James, appreciate your time. I'm glad you're on the mend. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Bye now.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad he's doing well. Well, from one Newfoundlander to another, we turn now to our series Far From Home. We take you to Vietnam, a country that has largely managed to keep its COVID cases under control despite being a country with more than 90 million people. Sabrina Pinkson is living there now. She spoke with Here Now's Jen White.
Hey Sabrina, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good. So you're living far, far away from home right now. Can you tell me where you're from originally and where you are right now?
I'm from Wild Cove, White Bay, near the Bay Verte Peninsula, and I'm living in Hanoi in Vietnam.
Wow, so that's like a world away from here. Can you explain to me what it's like? Like, how is it different from Newfoundland?
How is it different from Newfoundland? Well, I am in a city of 10 million people.
Wow.
In a country that is smaller than Newfoundland with 90 million people in it.
What is daily life like? Like, how does it compare to living on the Rock?
It's a lot faster.
Yeah?
Yeah, there's people everywhere. Traffic is very crazy. There's a lot of motorbikes everywhere. I don't speak the language.
Was it hard to adjust when you first moved there?
Yes and no. I lived in South Korea before I moved here, so I think I had a little bit of practice. But when I moved here, I didn't know anyone. So yes, there was an adjustment, but it didn't take very long. I got used to it.
Let's talk a bit about the pandemic. So what was it like when the pandemic struck?
It was scary being a foreigner in a country that's not your own and not really knowing what is going on.
You're living in a very concentrated area. How did they keep the numbers so low, and how did they approach the pandemic in the beginning?
They approached it extremely proactively. I mean, I'm a bus ride from China. We have a very porous border with China, so I think they were very proactive in taking it on. They closed the borders almost immediately, and we went into a lockdown in the first week of April, I believe, but there weren't even that many cases in the city that I live in. But we went into a countrywide lockdown, and that lasted for about 3 weeks. They really focused on like community transmission and contact tracing and stuff like that. There were tests available for anyone who thought they might need one. Yeah, they were extremely proactive. Everyone who came into the country during that time, because obviously this is a massive tourist destination, so everyone that was still coming into the country or new, they were brought into like government quarantine camps that were like erected all around the country. And that went on for quite a while.
And so that's also helped too, I guess, in the long run of keeping numbers low or non-existent. What are things like right now?
There's no COVID.
Wow.
Yeah, we had a second outbreak in July. Even when that happened, this was in a city in the central part of the country, and I was there for a holiday at the time. And when I came back to Hanoi, they had, I think there were, I want to say 50,000 people that were in Da Nang during that outbreak. And everyone that came back to Hanoi, 50,000 of them, they had us tested in a matter of a couple weeks. Every person that was apparently in that area during that month was tested twice.
And so talking about daily life, where do you work and what do you do?
I teach ESL online through a Chinese company.
Has it changed at all since COVID struck?
For me, which is really terrible, it was better because I teach Chinese kids, and during COVID, they were all at home. Normally, I can work about 3 till 8 p.m. during Monday to Friday, but during the epidemic in China, I could teach 12 hours a day if I wanted to.
And so when you're not working, I see some artwork behind you. You're also an artist?
Yeah, I paint and draw portraits.
And how long have you been doing that?
More seriously, maybe like 4 or 5 years.
You're not getting home right now. When do you think you will be able to return to Newfoundland?
I had hoped that I would be there for Christmas this year, but that's not going to happen. I'd like to return in the spring. The situation is the same in the rest of Canada. I don't know why I would trade in the freedom that I have right now to come home. So yeah, it depends on what the situation is like in 6 months' time, I guess.
And are you feeling homesick at all?
Yeah, definitely. I'm approaching, I guess, I don't know, 15 months since I've been home, and I usually come home every year. So I definitely missed it this summer, but it's okay.
How are you coping? Are you staying in touch with friends and family back home?
Yeah, I speak to my parents usually once a week. My dad has COPD and my nan is 92. So I definitely get concerned, but I'm very grateful that everything in Newfoundland is okay right now.
So Sabrina, before I let you go, I just want to give you a chance to send a message back home. Is there anything you want to say to friends and family?
Yeah, I want to say hi to my nan and that I love you and miss you.
Oh. Well, I'm hoping you get back sooner rather than later, and stay safe in Vietnam.
Thank you very much, and it was nice to talk to you.
Welcome back to Here and Now. The St. John's Board of Trade usually honors the best businesses in the city, but because of the challenges with Snowmageddon and COVID-19, this year it switched focus to celebrate the most resilient groups. Today, in an online awards show, they gave out honors to PAL, the St. John's International Women's Film Festival, Coleman's, and Clear Risk. Here and Now's Jeremy Eaton spoke with some of those businesses about how hard this year has been.
This year, knowing that 2020 was such an incredibly different year, we knew that we needed to measure success differently. We couldn't count sales or revenues or judge, by who moved the most product because the circumstances were different. So this year we launched the inaugural Business Resilience Awards so that we could measure business differently and keep pace with what our community needed and how our community was acting.
In March, we started really reimagine what the October Festival would be like because we had to totally reinvent it from the ground up. So it was a lot, but we started our consultations and research in March, really, in order to start preparing for October. For us to be an arts organization, a not-for-profit business, I don't normally see groups like ours reflected in these kinds of award ceremonies. And I think, it meant so much to us, but also to the greater arts community. Now, as soon as COVID hit, people are looking to the arts more than ever for, entertainment, but also that sense of community and connection. And that's something that's such a core value of ours and so important to our work. So it was really, really rewarding to be honored in this way.
Adapted in many regards, being among the first to install plexiglass and being among the first to have the dedicated shopping hour for our seniors, persons with disabilities, and the immunocompromised. We can't express how amazing this award means this year because of everything that we've gone through as a community. And because of that, it's just, we don't just accept it on behalf of ourselves, but for everyone, because if it wasn't for the community, for our customers, our partners, this wouldn't be.
It's been an immense challenge for the airline industry globally. PAL Airlines, the entire team has had to come together first through Snowmageddon, which was just the teaser for the pandemic, and the challenges that were to come in 2021. And our team has been able to come together. Of course, safety has been our top priority, both the safety of our employees and the safety of our passengers. And so we were early adopters of things like aircraft disinfectant fogging, of temperature checks at check-in at the airport. And then our team was busy focusing on new opportunities. We're really honored to take home the Opportunity Seeker Resilience Award today. And so it's great validation for our employees who have dug really deep, who have worked really hard throughout this pandemic, and who have been able to think outside the box, think creatively, and then work really hard to execute the opportunities that we've come across.
Well, the federal government is admitting it will not meet its own deadline for lifting all boil water advisories in First Nations communities. Ottawa is pointing to the pandemic as well as other reasons for those delays, and it's also promising more money to help.
This was an ambitious deadline from the get-go. This needed to be fixed yesterday. It should never have happened in the first place.
The Indigenous Services Minister has pledged another $1.5 billion to the effort. That's on top of the $2 billion already committed. But of the 156 boil water advisories that Ottawa promised to tackle, at least a dozen of them will remain after the March 2021 deadline. No new deadline has been set. Well, many people have survived COVID-19, but not all of them have recovered completely, and experts now have a theory about why that is. Christine Birak has more.
Before having COVID, Simone Gavros was regularly hiking, dancing, and exercising. But 7 months after a mild infection, she can't do those things.
Last Sunday, for example, I was vacuuming and I was so out of breath. I had to pause, breathe, and then that exhausted me for the entire day.
While the vast majority of people with a mild case of COVID-19 recover within 2 weeks, recent studies estimate at least 10% are experiencing long or chronic symptoms. Doctors studying those patients now say they might know why.
We think that there may be an autonomic dysregulation in some of these patients.
Autonomic dysregulation means there's an imbalance. The body stops automatically regulating things like heart rate and blood pressure.
because of the COVID infection, it may not work the same way as it usually does.
European researchers note long COVID symptoms, including fatigue, brain fog, and heart palpitations, resemble a common blood circulation disorder called POTS. Triggered by viruses, POTS is an abnormal increase in heart rate when a person moves from a reclining to a sitting or standing position. Gravity pulls their blood down to the lower half of their body, away from their heart and brain. POTS is treatable, but there's no cure.
Okay, so everything is going smoothly here?
Doctors caution a lot of research about chronic COVID still needs to be done, but add it's taking a heavier than expected toll on otherwise healthy people.
We're hoping that at least by a year out, some of these deficiencies will have resolved, but I don't think they'll all have resolved, unfortunately.
I'm definitely scared that this is going to be a forever thing, and I guess only time will tell.
Gavros hopes her body is just recovering, but thousands of Canadians could find themselves in the same situation. Christine Birak, CBC News, Aurora, Ontario.
Well, Britain's medical regulator has approved a COVID-19 vaccine, and a nationwide vaccination program will begin next week.
I would like to pay tribute to and to thank all those who have made this possible. It is the protection of vaccines that will ultimately allow us to reclaim our lives and get our economy moving again.
The British government has ordered 40 million doses of the vaccine, which was produced by Pfizer. In the next few days, the first 800,000 vials will arrive from the manufacturing site in Belgium. The vaccine will be given to healthcare workers first, followed by residents of long-term care homes. The rest of the population will then be inoculated, starting with people over 80. Vaccinations will not be compulsory. Health Canada says its review of the vaccine is expected to be completed soon.
I'm Ramraj Shavendran, the co-host of the St. John's Morning Show. I want to let you know about a series we've been working on here at CBC NL. It's called NL in Color. I got a chance to sit down with folks that live right here in St. John's that don't always look and sound like the people around them.
I'd be excited eating like mac and cheese and fish and brews.
The need to belong is less important to me.
People are gonna think that brown people don't know what a crosswalk is. They think you come from, I don't know where.
We've already given them so much, how can they ask for more? I was absolutely floored.
You can tune in right here on Here and Now, or on CBC Radio 1, or even online, cbc.ca/NL.
We'll take a look at the satellite radar one more time. We do have some heavy rain moving from south to north as we head through the night tonight. As much as 75 millimeters of rain is certainly possible for areas or locally anyway, for the Burin and Conegra Peninsulas. Otherwise, we're looking at anywhere from 10 to 30 millimeters of rain. Again, this will fall tonight through tomorrow afternoon. Temperatures are going to stay mild again, 13 degrees for St. John's. We've got those gusty winds out of the south, 40 to 60 kilometers per hour, but temperatures still in the double digits, looking absolutely beautiful. And then we're going to stay above zero for most of the Big Land as well. Things are going to quiet down a little bit, but we're still looking at the potential for some flurries for Lab West.
Oh, great. My poinsettia will get huge with those kinds of conditions. Almost as big as its name.
Yep, it's a lot of rain.
Now we know, poinsettia. Good night, everyone.
Good night.